Hello everyone, Luke here, and we're here. We're at the big one. We're finally finding out who or what the Whyman actually was, and all those predictions. If people predicted last week, it was very interesting to see what everyone's predictions were of what the Whyman actually was going to be. But now we can finally get into it. So hope you guys are ready. Prepare yourself because there's going to be a lot to talk about. Well, I say a lot. More like half an hour's worth, and then if you want more opinions on it, you can go and check out mine and Party Jam stream. Go and check it out. It's on my channel. Very much would appreciate if people watched it. Yeah, Dr. Stone is always at the end of the stream, so any worries about that, you can just skip right to the end of the stream to talk about Dr. Stone. But we talk about it for about a good 45 minutes, so you're basically getting an hour and 15's worth of talking about Dr. Stone material for my channel this week. So here we go. Are you all ready? Okay, the Whyman is the... You guys really thought I was going to say it right, really say it before we actually got into the point in the chapter, didn't you? No, I had to trick you guys by going straight to the opening credits. But yeah, gotta keep you guys in suspense a little bit more. But yeah, this chapter is titled Lifestone, and it's 228. Now I know I've done it out of order there, but then again, it's a big chapter this week. I'm allowed to have a little bit of fun with it. Okay, so the chapter starts off with Stanley, Kohaku, and Seku staring down this enormous, massive blob as we get the massive stain withering around the moon's surface. At last, it's clear what we are seeing on the moon. They are seeing. Okay, looks like Medusas galore. As we see it looking more like, a machine life form, just sort of swerving around with tentacles and everything. So that's what the black mass was, and they're just in amazement of this thing. It's very, very reminiscent of the pyramid in South America, where they first got to the pyramid, and it was Suika was holding up that Medusa that she found in the water, and it's like, oh, this wasn't look, and they see just the massive pyramid, and it's sickening yet beautiful, and this is perfectly. This is another perfect step on that metaphor as well. This is sickening to look at. Yeah, it's beautiful to look at as well, and Boichi does a brilliant job of making this thing look as epic as it can. As we get flashbacks on what Karaku brought to Sinu and Senku's attention first. There was one black spot that was changed little by little, and of course the reason why it was changed by little is because the spot itself was alive and was working as a unit itself, changing its form every so often. Now this leads to so many questions. This chapter is where did this blob came from in the first place? Why was it left on the moon? It's obvious that this thing had to have been made by human tech, and we'll get into why when we get into the end of the chapter. But yeah, we see, we get the idea of okay, these are all Medusas that we're seeing, and we see the one Medusa that was brought up with them, the one they found on Treasure Island, is actually floating up to to sort of above where this massive blob that's representing the Whyman and the sun. So it's moving in between both of them as we get them going. That's the one I tossed, the Medusa we bought from the Earth. Capsule, no, it's just floating there, and Sika's mimicking my voice. The only ones who could have tried to screw us over with that false transmission were you guys. I know you can talk using radio waves, whether it's English or science, and then we actually get the Medusa itself actually speaking and confirming that yes, we can actually talk. So the fact that I can talk in English and Japanese means that scientists, obviously from England, from America and Japan, possibly came together to build this thing. I'm guessing, as we get flashbacks to Treasure Island and South America, where we have Ibarra giving Kirasami the Medusa, and Joel, when the petrification was happening at first, and then we get the reiteration of all along this whole time, closer than we knew. You are the Medusas, and you are the devices, and you the devices are the machine life forms that form Whyman. So yep, that's the big reveal in this chapter. The Medusas all this time were Whyman. So the Medusa on Earth, that was the only one kept by the Master in Treasure Island. That was part of the overall entity that formed Whyman. So all I can say is, this is not me being sarcastic. This was a genuine twist I did not see coming. So gotta give props to Inagaki for that, for not making something that was a Deus Ex Machina, like not making it like, oh, the Whyman was Buzz Aldrin, the Whyman was Neil Armstrong, the Whyman was Albert Einstein, because those wouldn't make any sense if you really think about it. And the fact that he went with the idea of like the Whyman has been under our nose this whole time, like it's been right there. As soon as it showed up in Treasure Island, like, yeah, there's the Whyman. That's the Whyman right there. And we all could have picked it. We all could have seen this coming if we went back and looked at the clues, because if you really think about it, it makes so much sense now why the Whyman Medusa on Earth couldn't really do much, because as opposed to what it's been doing now with the forming of the mass centers in the last chapter, which was obviously coming from the Medusa itself in the capsule. That was the Whyman speaking, like saying like, hey, can you open me up so that you can let me out of this capsule? That makes so much sense now, because it was in like the frequency area of the mass hive of Whyman, and what was I going to say? Oh yeah, and this is potentially why we got the whole why in the first place, because that signal was obviously then picking that up from Treasure Island, and it was a different signal from what we were getting from the moon, which was the 12,800,000 meters 1 second, which was coming from like the main source of the Whyman. So we got two different messages, but it was that were from two separate Whyman that were formed into the same entity that was forming Whyman. So props to Inagaki for really making that a spectacular showcase. So yeah, now this again raises so many questions of like where these things came from, who created them, and why. That's the main question of this series, like why did all of this happen in the first place as well. But yeah, we get everyone's reaction to it as we get the title page, where as we're like, oh my god, that makes so much sense now. That makes so much sense now as we see the Whyman Medusa from Earth, and people on the Discord server has been calling it the Treasure Island Medusa, so T.I. Medusa. So T.I. Whyman. I guess I should just say the Treasure Island Whyman. So the Treasure Island Whyman basically reiterates the message of do you want to die? And it's saying it in English as well. Now this is taken in various different ways. Like Gen says, this is the same message we heard from before the other time, but why now at this very moment? Yeah, so many why questions are coming up. And Chrome theorizes that the Medusa or the Whyman, however we're going to call it, maybe they are trying to destroy us. Could it be that they're trying to petrify all of us so that we won't have to die? Which, when you think about it, does make a lot of sense to Whyman's ultimate motivation here. And I love this as well, because it's like, it's not trying to destroy the world itself, or blow up the Earth itself in the name of sense. It's actually trying to preserve humanity so that it never dies off, because they revealed in this chapter that if humanity dies off, the Medusa Whymen are not going to be able to survive, because they need humanity to function. And the way I synchronize this is, in my mind, I compare this to like a hive of bees, right? So like the Medusas are the bees, where the bees need flowers so that they can generate pollen to create the honey they want and the nectar and everything. So they need flowers for that to create what they want and to sustain their life purpose as well. But at the same time, they also need humans to actually build these forests and farms and everything, and actually build up the plants so that the bees can pollinate, and therefore the bees produce honey which is a natural source of goodness for humans, in the same way that the Whyman Medusas can use the petrification for their healing process. So it kind of works in a cycle, like humans can benefit from bees and bees can benefit from humans, and bees in themselves in nature are neither friend nor foe, in the same way we've seen Whyman being neither friend nor foe and being interpreted in very different ways of like what their intentions are. Now Pyjam still sees him as a villain, and I can definitely be on board with that, because Whyman himself, or I shouldn't say Whyman itself, Whyman itself, yeah, we should just say Whyman itself now, because it's not got a gender. It's a mechanical life form here, but a sentient life form, because, but yeah, Whyman itself, well, in a way, having good intentions, as people could say, like, oh yeah, it's got a good intention of giving humanity a natural cure for all things. Well, we say all things, right? It can't cure sight. It can't cure nearsightedness, because Chelsea, Kiru, and Suika still need their glasses in order to see. So it can't do everything that we want. But yeah, the actual just nature of healing people can be seen as a good thing. But at the same time, it's basically deciding like when humanity can come out of the stone to get it up and running, and once up and back into the stone for you. That's basically dictating when it wants humanity to basically maintain it as well, which can be seen as a bad thing, because it's basically dictating humanity, which we don't want that. Like we like our freedom and we like our expression, and also it could lead to like what they were saying in the previous chapters, where immortality can basically crush the world, because if humans are not if human beings are not going through the natural order of dying, then then it could lead to mass famine and everything like that, and just lead to like the humanity basically engulfing the world and just not having enough resources to go around. So that can be seen as a bad thing as well, which makes it a very complex villain in that regard. Like it sees itself as being a preserver of humanity, whereas humanity might see it as like, no, this is going against the natural order of things, which it is if you really think about it. Like the idea of immortality is going against the natural order of all science, all biology, and everything has its time and everything must die. Now, in terms of how other people feel about this reveal, about what the Whyman is, with a lot of people seem to be on the general consensus that this is a well done twist. Is it as good as the Byakuya twist? I don't think so, but it's definitely up there as one of the best twists of the series, and I've got to give Inagaki credit where credit is due. The fact that this was foreshadowed a lot. Like there were clues throughout the series. Like, okay, we should have known that there was something going on. Like, okay, this signal of why was different from the signal that we were seeing. Like this signal was obviously. The why was obviously not coming from the moon's surface, and we should have seen the signs of like, okay, there's two different things going on here, and the fact that all comes together, like that could be, that might have been foreshadowing, and the Doctor Stone trivia might pick up on that, the fact that the Whyman's why was very clearly not coming from the moon when they made the first contact with Whyman. So that should have clued us in right then and there that yes, something was going on. And also the actual nature of the message of like, do you want to die? That people were like interpreting that in various different ways, in the same way that they're interpreting Whyman as like is either friend or foe, and that should have given us a clue of like, okay, there could be a hive mind going on in like bees and that, like bees being our friend for. Maybe that was just me, but yeah, the idea of like the why and then the 12,800,000 1 second being two completely different messages with two completely different intentions. The why could very well be like, why is humanity like this? Why is humanity up and running again? I wanted to preserve them. I wanted to keep them petrified. So why are they doing this, and why are they using the petrification ray in this way? And Pyjamas had the idea of like, maybe the Whyman on Treasure Island was like fascinated with humanity and wanted to like observe them, because it had been with humanity for 200 years at that point. So maybe it was like just had all these questions of why humanity was the way it is, which was hence the why in the first place. So yeah, that's a lot of things. That's a lot of food for thought to take away from this chapter. But Gen says, um, Gen says, yeah, what I've basically been saying, that he hasn't the faintest idea whether or not our new friends are capable of honest conversation. But in any case, negotiating with a new political entity has historically and universally always been with immediately offering a gift. So yeah, pretty much saying like, okay, this is a new entity, so in order to get it on our side, we have to offer it a gift. And maybe Whyman, maybe this will lead to Whyman not really negotiating with the humans and starting to think like, yeah, humanity's not gonna be well here, because this chapter just completely changes everything as well. Because I initially thought that the series was going to end at chapter 250, but now I have no idea when this series is going to end. 250, 300, like, because there's so many different angles Inagaki could take in this, and he's just opened up on a whole new can of worms, as we'll get into when we get into the end of the chapter. But yeah, Kohaku says, except we didn't bring anything. Besides, what sort of gift makes sense for these things? Are they even alive? Kohaku, they are alive. You've heard it speaking without somebody speaking into it. So yeah, it is alive, Kohaku. So I'm surprised we've forgotten completely that in our stream, which we did on YouTube a few hours ago. But yeah, Kohaku saying that, yeah, that's a bit of a dumb question when you've clearly heard it say, yes, I'm confirming we are the Whyman that you've been seeking this whole time, basically. But Senku goes on to say, think they must operate according to replica rule. As long as there are rules, then there's science at work here. We only know one thing for certain so far, that they've gone out of their way to ask if we want to die. So yeah, they're still debating on this, like whether or not that's a good intention or a bad intention they have on that. Before we have him say, so these things, like any other organism, consider living and surviving to be crazy important. And yeah, we don't necessarily know if Whyman's intention on that front, or whether good or bad, and that remains to be seen. So Senku, this is where he lays out his terms and conditions to the Whyman. He says, Whyman, that's probably not your name, but you don't mind if we stick with that, right? So yeah, I guess we're sticking with the fact that this entity is just going to be called the Whyman. So the Medusa and the Whyman are going to be interchangeable from now on. With the level of science we now have, we can't create more of you, sorry to say. So I guess that's the ultimate goal of Whyman. It wants to keep making replicas of itself, to kind of keep going and keep it flourishing, and obviously benefiting humanity, but also benefiting itself as well, naturally. But Senku says that they can replenish their life force by finding new diamond batteries. And according to Party Jams, when Dr. Stone was first being created, they were already experimenting with diamond batteries as well. Now I don't know about that, so whether or not, so I'm just gonna go with what he said there, because I have no idea if that was a thing. But if he says it, then I'm inclined to agree with him. They continue on by saying, one step at a time, the science of humanity past milestones and made it that far. I mean, that far at least. That is our gift to you, and in return we request something of you. So yeah, the fact that Senku is saying that the terms and conditions, like, look, we can't recreate you to you are at this point, but we can at least try to do it baby steps at a time, because that's how science works. And we at least have diamond batteries now, so we can at least give you that. But however, and that's the best we can do for you now until we get to the level of technology that you are at as well. Because Joe, an expert watchmaker, said that this technology from the Whyman is clearly beyond the 21st century, but it seems to have been used with a 3D printer. That's the general consensus, is that most of these elements have been made with 3D printers, which it isn't far-fetched, because we have 3D printers now that can print weapons as well, like man-made weapons such as firearms and that. So yeah, not too far off, and it seems like this technology from the Whyman might actually be something that we'll be getting in the next 100 or 200 years, depending on how fast our technology in the real world goes, which could be seen as a good thing or a bad thing. And I hope Dr. Stone is still around in 200 years. Not being written in 200 years, obviously, but but that people actually pick it up as like, this is like how we're doing it right now. Let's see what they said back then. Kind of like a time capsule thing. So that, like how we are still have the plays of William Shakespeare, which, by the way, Side tangent. In a William Shakespeare play at the moment now, been casting that. So, yep, going to be doing rehearsals Monday evenings and Wednesday evenings up until the end of March for that. So, yeah, looking forward to getting on with that. But yeah, that's a slight tangent, and yeah, pretty much the same thing with Doctor Stone here. But yeah, so those are the terms that Senku lays down, and again says, okay, Senku, you have to be nice and careful now. You can't let the dear Whyman be angry here. So what are you gonna say? And please keep it right. But of course, Senku being Senku is like, screw that. I'm gonna say what I want to say, which is quit firing off those damn petrify beats every time you get jerkwads. Which yeah, that is a bit annoying. Like the fact that. Oh, we have to be petrified again because Whyman dictates it. No, we're not going to do that. So we're gonna help you guys, but at the same time, we want to live our lives basically. But again, the Whyman might not see it that way, might be seeing it. But I see it as a way like if I preserve you in stone, then you're kept alive because you can still maintain your conscience while in the stone, and eventually you will break out. So why are you being so pissy about this? And that's basically what the Whyman says. Like, why? As in, like, why don't you want to be petrified? Because in a way, that's me helping you guys because you don't get to die off. And so, no, we want to live our lives. We want to be out there in the world. We want to explore our world. And this is where we think there's going to be attacks. So Stanley is getting ready and poised before the main hive of the Whyman is saying to the Treasure Island Whyman, saying, stop that kindly and be still for a moment. And the Treasure Island Whyman reluctantly agrees. So yeah, we got various different mindsets of the Whyman moving at different points. So again, making it like a complex thing and not showing where its allegiance is at this point. And Pyjam's reckoned as well, like by the end of the series, we might get a series where either that it's not with we might get an edited series that doesn't have Whyman, or at the same time we've just got to live with Whyman and think like this is a thing now, we've just got to deal with it and just got to make sure that we are communicating with it and giving it what it wants at the same time it's giving us what we want. Stanley states that the Whyman is not a single entity and it's not some monolith acting in unison, and Senku reiterates that he has no idea, he has no data to work with here and he just has initiative, but he reckons that he thinks that the Whyman loved nothing more than having some maintenance done on it, and that's what the petrification beam serves. So basically saying like, okay, humanity will be petrified, but eventually it'll break out, and then once it breaks out, it'll have the notion of immortality, or at the very least, some of the humans will have immortality, and then they'll be able to preserve me forever, and I'll be able to flourish, and then maybe they'll get back up to a state where they can just mass produce our technology. And this is where people are getting the idea coming up here of that, oh yeah, there'll be aliens involved in that, which I take umbrage at that for a couple of reasons. Number one, this media interview with Inagaki basically stated that, yeah, everything in this series is going to be grounded in some form of reality, which I can see why people are a little bit disappointed about this, because it seems like the fact that the Whyman is a sentient being and a sentient machine means that it's kind of going out of the rounds of immortality. And yeah, if they brought aliens into series, then that would be like, no, we are not doing aliens. And it's not far-fetched of the fact that the Whyman being like this, because again, we have Alexa apps, we have Siri apps. We basically made artificial intelligence already, guys. So what you're getting pissy about, but yeah, aliens. But I don't see that, and the reason why people are thinking aliens is because of what Cedar says here. Of course, Whyman's identity is the Medusa devices themselves. Petrification offers everlasting life, and by dangling that reward, they spur intelligent life to better itself to march towards progress. See, people are reckoning like the Whyman has done this before with other life forms out there, which could potentially have happened, but again, I don't agree with it. I reckon it's just intelligent life in the sense of like humanity is intelligent life itself. And the reason why I don't think it's aliens, because if it was aliens, then they could have easily just said, set the programming of the Whyman to like, oh, Whyman, petrify the earth, petrify that area. They could have just easily done that, but no, the fact that it had to have been, the fact that it's been stated that of the rules of the Whyman, like English, English words, in order to activate the petrification, you have to state what meters are and the amount of seconds as well, or the amount of hours. So you have to speak in English to get it to function. To get the actual petrification being to function, you have to state you have to state the distance in the metric system and the amount of time it will before it actually activates. So yeah, it had to have been human made because aliens could have done something completely different, but the fact that they have those set rules in place for how the petrification beam goes off from the Whyman itself, yeah, I guess I'm just calling the Medusa the Whyman now, is making me think like, yeah, humans are involved. But again, we need to know where these humans came from, because if Whyman's not the true enemy in the series, then who is at this point? Who created these? What purpose did they have? Like, I feel like this is going to get explored in the next chapter, because we get Xenu saying they are in fact mechanical parasites. Ah, what a revolution! What truly elegant orgasms! Yes, yes, and this is where the Whyman get basically confirms, like, yes, this is what I want. I want you guys to preserve me. I want you guys to keep me flourishing and everything. Now, comprehensive communication of information about turning you to stone several millennia prior will be done first. So it's probably saying it like, yes, accurate. That is now comprehensive communication of information, sort of like talking in like a very robotic way or a very synthesized way, because that's what the Whyman actually does. So yeah, that's the end of the chapter. Really good, really fascinating chapter. My favourite chapter of the week, for obvious reasons, because we got the reveal and it wasn't a cliche reveal. People may think it's a disappointing reveal, but that's your opinion, and I think a lot of people are like, whether this was a disappointing reveal or not, you have to admit it was still a good reveal, and it wasn't something that was just like, oh, that's just half-assed, basically. So yeah, the fact that Ilgaki had some clues as well to from prior knowledge in the series makes it a whole another level of brilliance on his part. So well done, Inagaki, and also well done for Buichi for portraying that mass image on the moon. That's very similar to the pyramid. Now, again, the question remains is, where did these Medusas come from? Like, were they experimental science that were sort of like left behind, that were taken up with the Apollo mission? Who knows? The original Apollo mission of Neil Buzz Aldrin and the other astronaut, like, I forget what his name is. People will comment in the comments below probably who the third astronaut was that was also with Neil and Buzz at the time. But yeah, I have no idea where this is, and we're probably going to get most of the answers next chapter. Party John's saying he wants all the answers next chapter, but I think there's just way too many questions that need answering for it to just be in one chapter. So I think we're going to get 2 chapters at least to figure out like what the nature of the Whyman is, where it came from, why everything happened in the first place. I feel like we're going to get that over the span of 2 chapters, and maybe actually find out what the final battle between the humans and the Whyman is actually going to be like, whether it is going to be a final battle of swords or whether there'll be a new threat to come in, because this again opens up so many cans of worms about the threats and the level they possess, and actually opens up the possibility of like some people actually they're actually getting into their heads like, we want to control the Whyman, and Whyman getting pissed off about that. So maybe that'll be something to need, and maybe that will cause like a civil war or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas to see what sticks. But yeah, that's the chapter. Really enjoy it. Looking forward to finding out what happens next. But what did you guys think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys.